And it's the next day. So I have jacked up the rear wheels. I had to go onto bits of wood to basically get my jack underneath. And I've just jacked it up from the centre frame. I will put some jack stands left and right. Take the wheels off and then we're onto my calipers. Basically we're changing that bit. Just taking one tyre off and you can see the track day rubber that I've picked up and melted onto my tyre. So yeah, I mean they're getting a bit close to minimum. But we'll sort that out at a later date. So yeah, that's one wheel off. Please ignore the rust and stuff. These wheels are just knackered now. And hopefully there will be new ones coming soon. So we got the rear one off. Basically what we need to do now is remove the slider pins. That will take the caliper off, and then we need to remove the bolts at the back, just down here, and that'll all come off. This will come off, then we can put new discs on, put the carriers back on. But obviously once again you don't want to hang this by the brake line, so be gentle with the caliper. Other than that, not really much more you have to do, to be honest. What you're going to do is basically get a spanner onto there, and once you've got one onto there you're going to get this back one, undo this, and that will allow you basically take your caliper off, which is obviously your main piston bit. So you get one spanner there, one spanner on your 13mm at the back, and then basically you want to crack them off, so lefty loosey, obviously while holding the other one, which I can't do because I don't have 3 hands. So I'm going to do that and then I'll show you guys the end results. Okay, so I've just taken the rear caliper off. So basically once again 2 bolts and then just wiggle it out. And these are my brake discs. I mean, yeah. Turns out you're a car park Brembo brakes, not recommended. The inside one still had a little bit of metal on, but I mean minute amount. That's like normal car road, let's change the brakes. That is full send and Brands Hatch. And I thought this was the good side, so yeah, they're done. They're absolutely done. Probably means, yeah, I've got a nice little groove on the back. So anyway, now we need to take off these bolts back here. Sorry about the focusing. So we need to take off these bolts back here next. And then this caliper, or this carrier, sorry, is what we're changing. So take this off, then we can take the disc off, change the new disc on, carrier goes back on, pads go back on, and obviously we need to wind this piston back in. I haven't got a wind back tool, so I'm probably gonna have to use pliers and basically push and twist to wind it back in. That's the plan. And this is the back of the rear disc, so there is a nice metal on metal groove in there. But yeah, that is done. That's another Brembo special. So now it's just a case of winding that back in. I'm going to do the other side at the same time as I put another coat onto the carriers, which I haven't shown you yet. But yeah, this is a case of clipping the carriers back in and going from there, really. So I have just removed the other side, which is the driver's side, and this is once again the pad that came out of it. So there is, I mean, there's no pad material left whatsoever. We're through the rivets and the exact same on the other side. So basically I had one brake pad that had a little bit of material left, otherwise these are completely smooth to the touch. So yeah, when you're doing 130 into the first corner and you have no brake pads, Now they wonder why I went off the track at one point, or like slightly off the curb. Ben, that's the reason. I couldn't stop my car, basically. So yeah, that's cool, because they then locked on. So I went round one corner. It's not a fast corner, but I went around one corner. The front's trying to stop, the back squiggling everywhere, and as I came out the corner I felt the back just kind of just wanting to go, so obviously you're trying to correct it, and as you correct it you then end up on the curb. So these are the brand new brake discs. As a size comparison, hopefully you can see the difference. I can definitely see the difference in person. It's about, I think, between 10 and 15% larger on these ST170 brakes. Now obviously, unlike the front brakes that I installed, the EBC front brakes, which are specially coated with a coating that's supposed to be worn off with your brake pads, these are going to need brake cleaner to do them, but obviously I've got plenty of that, so I'm going to clean both these discs off with brake cleaner, stick them onto the car, and then it's a case of putting all the calipers back on. My dad's just popped out to get a rewind tool because I cannot be asked to push with pliers and turn the piston back in, basically. So he's gone to go get one of them. Beautiful. So once you've finished baking your carriers at about 180 degrees, I'm joking, they're just in here because it's a nice warm place at the minute, and basically we're drying off just a little bit more touch-up paint. As you can see, it's not the best paint job in the world. I'm going to redo them in the summer, but for the sake of having a working car, I need these on. So they've had about 3 coats of paint. Probably not the best wire brush job. I ran out of battery halfway through, but they are what they are. I mean, it's not the end of the world. So as always, if you were to take your rear brakes off, I would highly recommend cleaning your slider pins. As you can kind of see, once they're clean, you can reuse them again. Obviously you want to get all of the rust off. Basically then you want to use Ceratec, which is this stuff, on the slider pins itself. Just a little bit of Ceratec on the whole thing, and that will allow it to basically slide in and out nice and easily, and not seize any of your brakes. So bear that in mind. I'm going to put a bit of Ceratec on this now, clean them all out, and I'm also going to clean the rubbers up a bit. Now obviously, once again, they're rubber, so do not use anything corrosive that could potentially degrade the rubber, because if you degrade this, water will then get inside your slider pin. Water gets inside your slider pin, your brake seize on, pretty much. So that's the ST170 disc, ST170 carriers, and then the ST180 calipers. So as you can see, they fit absolutely perfectly. Basically all it's done is, I'll show you on this one, if you look at the difference between that and that, it's pretty much just stepping out. It's pretty much just stepping out the bolt a little bit further away, which allows a bigger disc. So this is the caliper windback tool I'm using, and yes, I've got a strap going to my spring to stop any tension on this. Basically you're just gonna righty-tighty that in all the way, which is very hard to do one-handed, so I'm going to go back to using 2 hands, but yeah, that's where we're up to so far. So I'm just putting a bit of thread locker on the end of the bolt, and then that bolt goes in the back. Which you then do up. So I'm just going to do those up nice and tight now. As you can see, the reds aren't exactly the same match, and I mean my paint job is already starting to flake. But like I said, I'll redo it in the summer anyway, when it's actually nice and warm and you can paint outside. These were painted at like -1 last night, pretty much. So yeah, fun. So that concludes the install. Easy to do. The painting's probably the most annoying bit, because you have to basically scrub off all the rust and dirt and stuff. And seeing that I didn't have a working car, I rushed that process. So make sure that you take your time, really wire brush it down as much as you possibly can, and then from there, I mean, it's just changing rear brakes. It's very, very simple. So that's what they currently look like. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Remember, merch in the description. Check out all my sponsors down in the description as well. You got Auto Beam, Cals Customs, DC330 Designs, Car Tuning UK is still down there as well. Sorry if I missed anyone out, but yeah, I'm gonna go take these for a test spin. I'll let you guys know in a few videos time, like an update on them, where I feel any difference. In terms of bedding process for this, there's not really much you can do with the rear brakes, because obviously it's basically 70 to the front, 30 to the rear, to my knowledge. So I mean, you just have to use them like a normal daily car, to be honest, and eventually they'll wear in. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.